Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The three wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look and a drift to show off.
Gregory now, I love it. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out GitGudRacing.com. I've coached hundreds of drivers, from real-life racers to sim enthusiasts, who experience rapid improvement after just one session. And while investing in top-notch hardware is great, imagine how much more you can elevate your experience by adding coaching to the mix. My methods are practical, aiming to break down complex concepts into easily digestible bits that are simple to understand. You can find reviews of the sessions I've conducted on the Fiverr link provided in the video description. Let's elevate your racing skills together. Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out the GitGud course. Instead of just understanding concepts, you'll learn how to implement them directly into your driving. What makes it effective is the approach and practical drills. Together, we're gonna focus on breaking down those complex concepts into small digestible bits that are simple to understand. Everything from the course was tested and refined during the years in coaching sessions, so what I ended up with was the ones that I saw were the most effective. Let's elevate your racing skills together.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chaz Draycott Media, and welcome to rounds 11 and 12 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championships 5th season here from the amazing Autodromo del Mugello. This place was, well, easily one of the most exciting rounds of the championship last year. It was where we completed the season in Season 4, and it was an absolute delight to be there in the gorgeous conditions we had last time. Very different this time round, though. As you can see, there is 93% humidity. It has been raining. You can see the rooster tails on the cars in the background, and we are in for an absolute treat. We being myself, Chaz Draycott, and the delightful Ed May with us once again in the box. Ed, we've had a fantastic season so far, loads of action, great racing in all three classes. This is just going to add so much spice into the mix.
Yeah, it really will. It's great to be back here. Obviously missed out on the last one just due to circumstances outside of our control, unfortunately. We tried to schedule, didn't we, Chaz, a get-together after the race had happened live to try and do an as-live broadcast, but just schedules didn't seem to line up. But we're here now and live on Chaz Draycott Media, and hopefully in for a very exciting meeting in the wet here at Mugello.
It should be an absolute corker. This is how the championship looks coming here then. Troy Dolinczek, despite not being there last time round at the Nürburgring, still has the championship lead. 386 points for him, with 4 wins on the bounce to start the season. Luke Lucchese going well with a bunch of second places and thirds. No win for him. It was actually Tristan Dino Brega who's 4th in the championship, taking his first win of the season last time out. Ryan Otten's doing really well in third. He's had 2 race victories as well. Christopher Radloff with just 1 podium finish, showing utter consistency though. He sits there in 5th place at the minute, just ahead of Jean Breitenbach, Luke King, Joe Glass, Matthias Pentila and Gianni Terha, who completes the top 10. And taking us through the Premier class is the one and only Ed May.
Yeah, Joe Schmarer's fine run of form continued last time out with the victory at the Nürburgring. That means he's only had 1 race where he's not finished on the podium in the Premier class. Absolutely outstanding performances so far from the GT Racing team driver. His teammate Stephen Donnelly in behind him in 2nd place. That's Mugello there in third. Marcel Breitenbach is fourth, with Matthew Jones in fifth. Rob Mackay sixth, with a sixth place finish last time out. Hussein Sarakardesla on the podium at the Nürburgring there for some more points to try and close the gap down. You can see actually it's only 1 point difference between himself and Rob Mackay. Then it's Russell Jakes there in 8th place out of Robin Aston, and Nick Stubb there in 10th place.
And then moving on to the Evo class, we have Malo TA currently leading the championship. Didn't have the best run at the Nürburgring. His luck didn't seem to follow him there, but it was Archie Craven doing a fantastic job. Look at that run of form that he's on at the moment. 3 wins out of the last 4 races for Archie in the GHR K1 Esports Audi R8. Dennis Koller holds on to 3rd place in the championship, with Martin Kenyon in 4th. He's had a couple of podiums recently. So too has Gareth Newton. So those are the drivers that are really on form and looking for more points out of tonight. Francois Brandet is in the YouTube chat, unfortunately not racing with us tonight, but we hope you have a very enjoyable evening, Francois, whatever you may be doing. And of course, thank you for joining us here on Chaz Draycott Media. Danny Weir is in 7th place in the glorious looking Porsche, ahead of Graham Matthews Lamborghini, James Howarth's Porsche, and Owen Seward, who completes the top 10 there. But it's not only about the drivers themselves though, Ed, we have the team's championship to think about as well.
Yes, we do. The top 5 go as follows. The RDSA esports team of Troy Donchek, Tristan Dinneberger and Luke Lucchese, impressive as ever, continue to lead the way out in front of JSD Racing team. A gap of about 100 odd points between first and second. Not a big gap when you consider they are already on 1,500. Alpha 1 Esports, they're in 3rd position. Bit of ground over Glass Tech Dexterous there, and then Glass Tech Racing in 5th. 9 points separating 4th and 5th, very close.
Absolutely is. And then we have a humongous amount of other teams in there as well. Barbecue Bread Racing next up. The Suma GP2 Lamborghinis are in 7th. Then the 2 DXT Cyan and Magenta teams that are together in 8th and 9th positions. Not much between them. Then it's the Suma GP2 Porsche squad ahead of KM Racing, MRC 496. And then, as you see, the rest of the field very tightly packed as well. Loads of points to think about. But another thing that's been rewarded this season, Ed, is the fact that drivers can be safe on circuit as well and not score incident points over the course of a race.
Yeah, it's currently Matthias Penteler who's leading the elite incident ratings with an average incident rating of 5.5. He's ahead of Jean Breitenbach with 6.11. We come to Luke Lucchese and Joe Glass, tied in 3rd, both with the exact same races completed and the exact same total incident points, which is interesting to see. And we come down to Ian Cable, they're in 5th for the elite class.
Absolutely. In the Premier Division, Robin Aston currently leading the way, and Martin Kenyon, the safest driver now in the Evo standings after the Nürburgring. He had a really good run of it, actually, at the Nürburgring as well. Malo TA was not only just leading the championship, but he was actually leading the incident ratings as well. So he's certainly showing that you can be safe while being fast and up at the front end of the order. Fashionable timing... Sorry, go on, Ed.
Sorry, I was just going to say it's impressive, actually, Robin Aston's performance when you consider that he's been at 9 races and only scored 33 incident points over his time in the season. By far the lowest incident rating by all of the classes there, only 3.67.
Very impressive indeed. And right on time, we now sit ready for qualifying here at Mugello. And as you see, beautiful conditions. Beautiful conditions. This is Jonathan Provost for Undercover Sim Racing. Nothing subtle about this at all, because the Porsche is very loud, very tasty, but it's more like a boat at this point in these very tricky conditions. Now, it's going to basically dry out over the course of the race, they reckon, or over the course of the evening, but as you can see, it is very wet at the moment. We have all drivers, from what I can see, on wets. Paul Cowlishaw has realised he's on slicks and will now stop the car and go back into the pit lane, I imagine. Everybody on wets. There's a bunch of drivers that say they're not looking forward to this, and if I'm honest, Ed, with how iRacing has done wet weather, which is brilliantly and very realistically, part of me isn't surprised because it is absolutely savage, isn't it? It is. They've not said, oh yeah, we'll make it a little bit more grippy, we'll make it easier, you know, we'll hold your hand a bit so you can still enjoy yourself. It's like, no, you wanted rain, you've got rain, look how hard it is. It's mighty difficult.
Yeah, it's so difficult. The one thing the drivers do have is that they know that this is definitely conditions for wet tyres. They don't have to and ah and think about it. They don't need to go, oh, is it time to put the slicks on? No, they definitely know that this is wet weather territory, so all the drivers are on the same page. A little bit of standing water you can actually see there, right on the inside.
What was that?
These corners are... What was...
Sorry, did you see that glow on that curb?
It seemed to be a lot of the standing water, I think, reflecting something.
But what was it reflecting? There's nothing purple there. Oh, it's... I don't know. Oh, Nick Stubb has gone off the circuit. But on my screen then, for some reason, it was like a really bright purple that was glowing in the curb.
Yeah, I think I noticed a bit of bright purple earlier on in the lap as well, actually. Just as they sort of come down the hill. Which looked a bit weird. It seemed to be on the racing line, which was interesting.
Odd.
Maybe someone's been going putting an oil slick down just on that area, which just makes it... We have a weird purplish sheen to it.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. How is Archie Craven getting on in the Audi? He's just coming around the final corner now to get moving. I don't envy him driving the Audi in these conditions. You can see it moving around and being lively already. The mid-engined cars here, I think, will struggle. Although you'd expect something like the Porsche to have a bad time because the engine's so far back. But it's just that stable a platform. It's excellent. Look at the rooster tails coming off the Audi, though, down here. I love wet weather racing. It always looks so, so cool. But, yeah, all the drivers will... Well, they'll still be pushing, but you've just got to be so careful mid-corner not to overdo it.
Yeah, it does seem to me that at least those mid and rear engine cars do perform a little bit better in the rain than you'd expect looking back at what we saw a couple of days ago. Spoilers if you haven't seen the last round of the Sim Racing Amazing GT4 challenge, but in the wet it was the Porsche that did seem to be
true. At
least the more comfortable of the cars to drive. It didn't seem to have as many moments as some of those on maybe some of the heavier cars. It seemed especially that it was actually the Mercedes, if you're on the dry tyres, it really struggled a lot.
I just saw that glow again that you mentioned. It's almost like the skybox doesn't quite render the reflection properly when it comes around. It's just done it again there. It's almost like it reflects bright blue instead of the cloud. It's really, really strange. But still, it is what it is. We've got Ryan Ottens heading around the final sector now. We've got a car off, which is Archie Craven, who we were looking at earlier. Archie has unfortunately had a bit of a moment. James Bostock has also been off the road. He's overdone it down at turn 1, I think. Massive amount of water coming off the back of these cars. He's gone in, way too deep, and the car just wants to go straight on. And he's off and into the gravel there. And even when it's in the gravel, it still spins around as well. Now, we do not have Troy Dolenchek with us again this evening. Troy, unfortunately, missing another round of the series. So this man, Luke Lucchese, in prime position to take the championship lead once again. Second place to Tristan Dinabrega at the Nürburgring. Very, very close between those guys. There was another bit of that purple glow there. We won't mention it every time, but yeah, it certainly is a weird little phenomenon.
I did just notice as well, actually, as Luke Lucchese was coming through the S's, you had the rev sort of jump upwards, the wheel spinning coming through. He's really fighting to keep this car in a straight line. But the interesting thing as well about the wets is where we can really see the drivers, how they're able to perform. We did see a little bit of a window into that, didn't we? Fuji, I think we saw a lot of those drivers show off their wet weather performance. So we're able to see if it'll be emulated on a slightly different circuit. Again, a little bit of standing water getting kicked up there by Matthew Jones as he makes his way in towards turn 1.
Sorry, there was a really funny effect there. When you flick to one car to the other, it changes, obviously, from one car to the next, but the spray takes a bit more time to still settle when you change from one to the next. Look, I'd never noticed that. That's quite funny. But goodness me, it looks brilliant, does wet weather racing and iRacing. Those headlights look horrendous. It's a shame they've not figured out the headlights yet, but that bloom effect is just not great. But we've got times coming through now, and it is Christopher Radloff in the Alpha 1 Esports car that is fastest at the moment from his teammate Ryan Ottens. Marcel Breitenbach is quickest in the Audi as well, in the Barbecue Bread Racing Audi in the Premier class at the moment, and it is none other than Robin Noel Brown in the Tsuma GP2 Porsche that is quickest in the Evo class. I'm not jealous of them trying to negotiate this round here. We've got Ashley Brooks, by the way, just making his way back out onto the circuit. He's now just trying, to glide his way around. He's racing for MLC 496 now, I believe. He's not in the DXT Cyan team that he started the season in. But you can see, look, having to just so carefully nurse the car around just because he's straight out the pits, brand new tyres that are cold. Just trying to figure out where the water is, I guess. Look at it all there.
Yeah, really struggling to get any sort of pace. Now he's going to try and hopefully with a bit more, the tyres are tactical. As you can see, he's going at it with a bit more pace, but as soon as he does, the car really does not respond kindly to it. Going to be very exciting to see how the drivers negotiate the first few corners as well of the race, because while behind the safety car, the pace car, they won't really be able to get that much heat into the tyres.
No, not at all. Looking at the circuit temperature, it is 19 degrees track temp at the minute, so there's no heat going through it at all. Luke Lucchese has just gone fastest in the elite class. Jones has just gone third quickest. Robin Aston has gone to the top of the times in Premier. Martin Kenyon has just gone a second quicker than everybody else. Oh, you could hear the revs spike there for Jean Breitenbach. But Kenyon has just gone a second quicker, or he had, until Archie Craven's just got a bit closer, than anybody else in class. The times are all coming through now. It's really close in the Premier class. We've got Aston, Breitenbach, Jones, Provost, then Stubb. Those two separated by next to nothing. 8 thousandths of a second there. Then Shapara, Silver, Ludbrook, Kostrick and Nagel. But wow, the times are coming through thick and fast right now. Danny Weir has just gone third quickest in the Evo class. Matt Hoyland missing tonight. Says he's disappointed to be missing this. We hope to see you back at the next one, Matt. Hope you at least enjoy the show. It's going to be mighty spicy, this. And to be fair, Ed, if there is a transition from the wet weather to the dry weather, that's what's going to make it even more exciting, isn't it? Not just the drama of the drivers going off and having spins and potential discrepancies in pace. It's the fact that they have to manage that change in weather, isn't it, and the circuit temperature.
Yeah, and it's going to be all about deciding when is it the best time to maybe switch tyre compounds. We will, of course, see if it does dry off like the drivers are expecting, but even if it doesn't, we're still going to be in for two very exciting races, I'm sure. We've just got around about 6.5 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. Drivers still have time to complete another couple of laps. I think most of the drivers are currently on their third time around. Danny Weir included.
Just making his way up the hill, over the crest. This section of the circuit is absolutely lovely in the dry. It feels so rewarding, but look at it, it's like a lake. There's so much water everywhere, but the thing is you have to just push the car through it. You have to really pile the lock on, force the car to get in there, and then just deal with the consequences on the exit. You can see, look, not taking that rubbered line on the inside, taking a wider line to swoop back across. Look, he wants to dive across that line rather than intercept it. Listen over the curbs. Whoa, he's brave staying in the high revs through there, actually. You'd have thought he'd have short-shifted to fourth instead. Danny pushing on. Archie Craven's gone quickest in the Evo class right now. Provost has gone quickest in Premier. Only 37 thousandths ahead of Aston. Tristan Dinabrega goes third quickest. Luke Lucchese and Jean Breitenbach still the top two there. We wait to see Danny Weir cross the line. Where is our championship leader in the Evo class as well? Malo TA not here by the look of it. So he's not about. Archie Craven won at the Nürburgring, so he's going to be loving life at the top. But look at this, Luke King. He is currently, if we show you the overall standings, Luke King is down in 12th position overall at the moment. Joe Glass, Nathan Crook. There's a bunch of drivers that just aren't clicking with this wet weather at the moment. They haven't been able to set representative times, and the classes are all over the place.
Yeah, he's been Luke King for grip, but can't seem to find it at the moment if we're judging his times at this stage. But we'll see if he can find that elusive little bit of traction as he's coming through just over the crest of the hill. And this is the area where I think the drivers can really make up a lot of time. Just bravery through this section, which, like you say, it does look a bit like a river. Oh, a little bit deep into the corner. He's struggling a lot, just trying to get the car to do what it wants. What he wants, at least.
Apologies if you saw the UI come up for a moment there, everybody. I was sick of that Marshall's post spawning in where the camera was, so hopefully this time, if we watch it just go through here, Robin Noel Brown, it should not appear before us. There we go. Fixed it, Mum. It's called the nearby plane bias, or near plane bias or something. It's to do with how close it renders objects to the camera. Jonathan Provost, quickest then in the Premier class at the moment. He has completed his laps, and Christopher Radloff has just gone quickest for Alpha 1 Esports, 68 thousandths of a second, and that was his final lap as well. Luke Lucchese's just about to complete his though, Ed.
Yeah, Luke Lucchese over the line. He was fastest of the bunch. He now needs to find a little bit more time, just less than a tenth, separating himself from Christopher Radloff. And as he crosses the line, he improves, but not quite enough. Just needed to find that a little bit more, but by the slimmest of margins, 4 thousandths, he has to start alongside him. But potentially, it might give him a bit more of a favourable line in towards turn 1.
Oh, oh no! You could just see that's how easy it is. Breitenbach just touches the painted part of the circuit on the inside there. He tried to sort of take a cutback line, and it just did not work for him at all. Here's Joe Glass. He's on the inside line, interestingly. Joe broadcasting the Evolution Sim Racing TCR Championship this season, which yours truly has been racing in. Not well, I must say. Oh, goodness me, Joe. It's like dancing on glass, that is, with oil on your feet. Really, really not behaving itself, this Porsche. Martin Kenyon's gone quickest, by the way, in the Evo class. And he's actually outdone all the Premier drivers, look. Martin Kenyon, that's why the Evo class has moved up above. Kenyon's gone 6th fastest out of everybody. This is brilliant form from Kenyon. We're loving it. Martin's been a long-time supporter of Chaz Draycott Media and what Ed and I do in other series and other championships that we broadcast. And he's often one of the most unlucky sim racers that I know. But he's had some fantastic form recently. It's been great to see, it really is. We don't hold any bias towards our drivers, but when you see they've been, through as many series as that and been supporting so much of it, you do hold a place in your heart for them when they race with us. But Radloff still quickest then. Can Tristan Dinabrega dethrone him? Because, he's pushing hard, but I'm not sure if this is going to work or not. He did his best last time round, 2:05.48, 65 thousandths between the top 3.
He seems to take a tight line into that long right-hander and wash out wide and then slow it right down to then cut back onto that tighter line. Almost sort of vegan corner off. He does it again, breaking on the inside where there's a little bit more traction and then having to cross over that racing line, which does seem to help him at least on the phase of slowing down for the corner. He gains a lot of time in doing so. We'll see if it's enough time to maybe go ahead of his teammate, maybe get onto the front row. Tristan Dinabrega breaks the beam and goes fastest. Wow, very impressive there. 600ths of a second faster than Christopher Radloff, but it is an RDSA esports car on pole position. This time it's Dinabrega.
Awesome stuff. Tristan, after taking the win at the Nürburgring, bounces back here. James Bostock, I believe, improved on that previous lap as well. 2:07.99 for him. This is actually his final lap of the session. But I'm not sure that he's on full chat here. He's not improved on either of his first sectors. Sounds like he's been a bit hesitant on the throttle as well, to be fair. Building up through the revs. Across the line he goes.
I was waiting to set their first time out on track, actually. Ashley Brooks has set a time, but not really a competitive one. But I don't think he'll be able to complete this one because that looks like an off-track there. Running very wide. Jack Wyborn over the line to set his first and only time of the session. And where will it put the MRC 495 driver? Only up to 29th.
Yeah, he's completed 3 laps. So I'm not sure if he'll go on for another one. Ashley Brooks has now just been off.
Won't be able to complete it because it is a heat race, Chaz.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And Ashley Brooks has unfortunately put it in the barrier to end his session, and that's that. That is that. Just listen to the rain, see if you can hear it. It's very pretty. You don't always see the raindrops, though. That's one of the only problems with it, because it depends on how far zoomed out the camera is. You could see the circuit sort of load in the moisture for a second there on the individual bits of the road. That was really, really cool. So, we have then the grid forming for round 11 of the championship. Don't forget, we have 2 half-hour sprint races here. They still include a pit stop each. You will see drivers try and take advantage of them and make the most of it. We'll bring you the grid. This is how they are going to line up for the first race of the evening. I'm really excited for this. I think this is going to be an absolute belter. This is going to be certainly exciting. It's going to be frame rate destroying. but it'll be good fun. Tristan Dinobrega, pole position then, with Christopher Radloff alongside him. Luke Lucchese and John Breitenbach make up row 2. Then it's Ryan Ottens alongside Martin Kenyon, the highest placed Evo driver, ahead of all the Premier drivers. Jonathan Provost is highest in the Premier class, ahead of Robin Aston, with Matthew Jones right behind. Archie Craven completes the top 10 in the Evo class. Marcel Breitenbach is 11th, with Joe Glass in 12th position. Then it's Luke King and Nick Stubb alongside each other on row 7. Joe Sparrow and Robin Noel Brown make up row 8, ahead of James Bostock and Danny Weir. We then have Gareth Newton and James Howarth on row 10, ahead of Nathan Crook and Dennis Collar. Bruno Silva and Russell Jakes make up the 12th row of the grid, with Graham Matthew and Scott Kostrick next up. Rob Mackay is 27th, ahead of Paul Cowlishaw. Jack Wyborn and John Ludbrook complete the 30. Atty Nagel is 31st, ahead of Ashley Brooks, and then Joseph Preston, the 33rd car on the grid. A quick shout out to the championship sponsors, by the way: Kame, Medius, Keenan Eco Energy, GitGud Racing and AB Designs. Thank you once again to you guys for the wonderful support, not just of the championship, but of course us here at Chaz Draycott Media as well. Ed and I've certainly been enjoying this series since we started commentating on it, and it's all going to get even more exciting right now as the field leaves the line for a full formation lap here at Mugello for the first race of the evening. And to be fair, Ed, not the biggest grid we've seen in the series. Maybe the weather putting some of the drivers off a little bit. What do you reckon?
Potentially, obviously, as well. Some of our we've got quite a big contingent of UK and Ireland drivers, and we are in the midst of a mini heat wave. So, for some of the drivers, they might be thinking not only of their own health, but also with the wet weather demanding a bit of their PCs. They don't want to have them cooked. So that could also potentially be a factor. Sometimes it is a little bit too hot to get behind the wheel for 2 30-minute sprint races, which are, of course, very intense, as I'm sure all of the familiar watchers of this racing series will be acutely aware of. I think we're going to have another very intense race here in the rain. They're going to be going around for a full lap behind the safety car. Good, obviously, to try and find out where the grip is from the transition from the qualifying session to the race. See if it's got any wetter out there, see where the grip is. Also try and, if possible, get some heat into the tyres, but at the speeds they're going, with the track being the temperature that it is, that might be a difficulty.
It absolutely will be. They're not going to be able to do much of that in these weather conditions at all, and the rain's still coming down as well. It's not stopped, so the circuit isn't going to be drying out during this race, that's safe to say. It's still falling here at Mugello. And you can see this is James Bostock that we're on board with right now, just trying to put a bit of temperature into the tyres and at least scrub them against the surface a little bit. All to no avail, really, as there is so much water on some of the racing lines that these guys have to take that they're not really going to be able to make much of it. But this humongous field of cars floating its way around the circuit. Certainly Porsche dominated near the front, the two Audis together near the middle of the field, Archie Craven and Marcel Breitenbach. We also have the Ferrari of Jack Wyborn, just the one Ferrari on track tonight. A bunch of Lamborghinis, Graham Matthew and Paul Cowlishaw, both stalwarts of the Lamborghinis in this series. And then we have, of course, Ashley Brooks in the lone Corvette here tonight. Normally there's 2 or 3 of them, a couple of Mustangs as well, but none of them. Matt Hoyland asking if there's been a non-RDSA pole position this season. I don't think there has. There was 2 rounds that we missed, but even then I think it was an RDSA pole. So the fact that it's been so close between Radloff and these guys is excellent. It's been lovely to see the Alpha 1 esports team bolstered even more for this season, because of course we had Ryan Ottens sort of flying solo against RDSA last season, didn't we, Ed?
Yeah, so it has been good to see more and more drivers getting right up there, and the likes of Christopher Radloff, they've really been ones to watch over the course of the season. We do see the drivers now with only a few more corners to go before we'll see them properly open out the throttle pedals and go down in anger towards turn 1 in the wet. Again, it's going to have to be very careful from everyone involved, because one little mistake and we could basically just have bowling pins out there.
We ride on board here with Robin Noel Brown right in the middle of the pack. 3rd in class for this one at the minute. Waiting to see what he can make of this, but it's Tristan Di Nobrega that will lead the field away from pole. And I'm excited to see whether he can do anything with this start, whether he chooses to hold them for a while. Don't forget, half-hour races here rather than an hour long. We will still have pit stops. They crawl up to the line now. You can see a few drivers wanting to fan out in the background. Dennis Collar moving over to the left. Christopher Radloff realises that he's over to the right a little bit. He now filters in. And as the lights come on, it's round 11 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship underway. And what a great getaway that is for Jean Breitenbach. 3 wide as they come over the crest of the hill in the spray. The drivers are going to be able to see absolutely next to nothing further back. There's a little bit of shenanigans, a little bit of moving around, and I think has Radloff gone in too deep? He's gone in a little bit hot, but I think he's kept it all together. Anybody else going in too hot for their own good through there? No, it looks like everybody's behaving. I think Russell Jakes just lost a couple of places, having to slow it down. We'll go on board here with Nathan Crook in the Ludcrook Racing Porsche, and you get an idea of the chaos that the drivers are going to just witness by just driving around in the spray, to be honest, Ed. There's cars around. Marcel Breitenbach is off the road. He's over on the left-hand side. We've just lost him as... Whoa! Nathan way too late on the brakes there. I think not expecting the cars in front to check up. That's Danny Weir getting past Robin Noel Brown. Go further forward though, and Luke Lucchese has moved up into second place. John Breitenbach has also gone with him, and it's Christopher Radloff that's lost the places there.
Yeah, Christopher Radloff really lost out just on an initial getaway off the line as soon as the racing went green. He just didn't seem to have that quick reaction time that the rest of the cars around him had. Obviously there was communication probably between Di Nobrega and Luke Lucchese, so obviously get on the throttle at the roughly same time. We'll have a look here what happened to Marcel Breitenbach there in the Barbecue Bread Racing Audi.
Oh no.
Ooh, and it's a very slight touch, and again afters just on the exit.
Yeah, just a tiny little touch. Russell Jakes then went off the road not long after this. I think he went off at the next chicane, maybe on the exit or on the curb. On the brakes. Is there a car down his inside? Yes. That answers that. There was a car down his inside, and that was Jack Wyborn in the Ferrari.
Not quite what you want to see, is it? The two teammates coming together, actually. Or not really teammates, I think stablemates, aren't they? Because one's MRC 495, the other's MRC 496.
Kenyon
Still.
off.
Ooh, Kenyon from the lead of the Evo class.
Yeah, and there's one of the Alpha 1 Esports cars going wide with him there as well. That's Luke King in the background. Robin Noel Brown is also off the road on the inside of the hairpin. Dennis Collar has gone wide. Is that Scott Kostrick? Ooh, flipping heck, it's dodgy there. They need to come back on at one point and look straight into the pits there. Marcel Breitenbach says, you know what, I'm going to come in. I'm going to get my pit stop done now because I'm avoiding too many cars out there and trying not to crash into people in the spray and in the rain. But it's Tristan Di Nobrega, just like it was last week, leading the race. Luke Lucchese behind him, then John Breitenbach and Christopher Radloff trying to follow on. Porsches all the way through to 8th place, but Archie Craven leading the Evo class. Car in front of him is Joe Glass, and then it's Jonathan Provost that leads the field in the Premier Series. James Bostock here trying to get past the 227 of Nathan Crook. A little bit of damage to the front right of Nathan's car. Not quite sure where he would have picked that up, but there was a little bit of bumping and barging, wasn't there, in the opening corners there, Ed, but nothing too bad.
Nothing major, nothing that we were fearing, I think, which is always good to see. I was obviously aware that this is the first of 2 races in the evening, and it's all about just trying to score as many points over both races, and not just going all out in the one. Mackay currently on board with him, trying to chase down. Bruno, so you can hear how competitive he's having to be on the throttle there.
Really being careful up over the hill as well. A lot of undulation on this circuit, so it's easy for the car to go light over some of the crests and suddenly compress as you get to the bottom of some of the hills as well, and it's all over the place. But it's great to see that these GT3 cars are a bit more alive now than they used to be on iRacing. They used to be so stiff and either glued to the road or spinning, and there was no way of saving them. But they move around a lot more than they used to, and it's really entertaining. It's great also to see the splashes coming up from the curbs there as the drivers run over them. The water getting thicker as it gets kicked up into the air. But tidy stuff, I'd say, so far in this race. Everybody doing a really good job of it. There's only been 2 or 3 spins, really. A little tiny bit of contact here and there. We've got James Howarth on our screen, and just behind him is the battle between Bruno Silva and Rob Mackay. I think Ashley Brooks has just had a drama in the Corvette. He's got back going again, but he had some problems with that chicane in qualifying as well. I think it's just caught him out again. There is just in front. That's Russell Jakes going straight on. Very late on the brakes. Ashley's gone with him there. They try and both get back off the painted section, and I think that's Graham Matthews saying thanks very much, boys. I'll go through.
Yeah, I think Graham Matthews with the outside line in towards turn 1 should be able to hang on to that position as well. The more favourable wet line around the outside where there hasn't been so much slippy rubber laid down as Rob Mackay. There's an error there in towards turn 1. We're following him earlier, how careful he was having to be, but maybe not quite careful enough. Look at the Audi there wiggling around. That's Archie Craven, I think, really just fighting to keep the car under wraps. He's leading the Evo class, but we did see earlier that class leader of, where is he, Martin Kenyon. He's dropped down all the way now to 10th place just from one little mistake.
Yeah, it's cost him dear as Nathan Crook, he's flown past Nick Stubb. He moved across in front of him as if to say, nope, you're not coming back through. And Nathan now all over the back of Archie in that Audi, showing that he really wants to get through. He's not hanging around. He's sliding up over the crest of the hill. It's a great view of it all. Archie puts the car on the inside, wants to defend the position, of course. They don't need to worry about overall positions. It's in-class positions that count. So Archie could let these guys go, but it's better to have that buffer of other cars between himself and second-placed Danny Weir, who is next up in the class. As Nathan again closing in on the brakes. They need to be very careful, though, braking as late as they dare around each other, because it's easy to just clip the back of the car in front. James Bostock is right behind Nick Stubb, the car that we ride on board with here. You can see he's involved in this as well. Jack Wyborn has apparently had an issue. The Ferrari not really going well around here tonight as well. Nathan Crook, he sent it in. He's just overly done it. He tried to go one way then the other there. I'm not sure if that was in avoidance of Archie Craven or whether he's just trying to, I don't know, fake him out, go one way then the other. We'll have a look. He looks to the inside, then he just goes over to the right. He sort of tries to have a little bit of a fake, doesn't he? And then it doesn't pay off.
Nathan Crook now just about visible in behind the rooster tails of the Porsches up in front. You can see through the blaring headlights where he is. At the moment, it's Danny Weir up in 13th overall, second in the Evo class. Has Archie Craven just about in his sights, roughly 2.5 seconds up the road. So not a million miles away from being able to get into the lead as Roger Yates looks for it up on the inside, but you can really see how difficult it is to put the power down on that tighter line, whereas around the outside you can carry so much more speed and momentum. That's what sees Joseph Preston for the moment hang on to the position. Again, really fighting for grip out there. Russell struggling once more, getting the power down.
It really is. Danny Weir is now the one under pressure from Nathan Crook. Nathan's so confident in the wet, but Danny tries to get a cutback. Nathan says no, thank you. Nathan, of course, in the elite class, so one of the quickest guys on paper out there. And he didn't have the best of qualifying performances, starting 21st on the grid. So he's full of confidence, pushing forward to get past these guys in the Premier and Evo classes. At the same time, he's getting mighty close on the brakes. So he just needs to be a little bit careful not to get caught out by earlier braking. And that's the thing, isn't it, Ed? When you're trying to fight through the order, we've seen some of the Evo class guys do it before, when they've had to sort of try and come back through the pack after an off or something in the first few laps. They've just sometimes maybe overstepped the mark a little bit in terms of impatience, or they've just not quite expected the cars in front of them to be a little bit slower.
Yeah, and it's going to be so difficult to have those sorts of communicational aspects in the wet. Everyone's able to say different lines, and there's a big impact there. Bruno Silva colliding with Robin Noel Brown, but in the wet, even if you're on the brakes, you can see the brake lights on. They do nothing, and Bruno Silva then also collects with his incident. That looks to be, is that Dennis Koller? I think it is.
Yeah, it was. Bruno, unfortunately, just clipping the water on the outside of the circuit. Look, the car understeers as he gets on the power. He tries to straighten it up, and then he bounces off the other Porsche. And the thing is, he's on the brakes here. He's trying to keep the steering to the right, so he rolls that way. Dennis had nowhere to go. Devastating that for Dennis. We'll see how it looks from him. This is the thing with the spray look. This is going to be quite scary, I think. Yeah.
It's a split-second decision. You never know which is going to be the right one or not, fortunately.
That is devastating.
Yeah, oh dear, that is heartbreaking. But thankfully it was at the end of the lap, so he was able to come in and get his car repaired, and then also in the same breath make his one mandatory pit stop. And looked like a massive sideways moment there for Archie Craven. He'll follow Marcel Brayton back. He's really not been having a good time. Look at the front end of his Audi, already a sorry state. Just loops around into the barriers. Oof.
Yeah, not a good time for him. This is Luke King coming back through the order. Luke pitted earlier on, so he is the highest placed driver to have pitted so far. Joe Shapara has been in, so too has Martin Kenyon and Marcel Brayton back. Robin Noel Brown has just recovered after an off. He's lost the front end of his car. He's got Rob Mackay just next to him. Carries decent space around the outside though. We've still got this battle. Oh no! Oh, they got away with that. They got away with that big time there. I was going to say, we've still got this battle going on in the middle with Robin Aston second in the Premier class, Matthew Jones in third, and then Archie Craven leading the Evo class right in the thick of it. But all the while, gotta get your words out, Chaz, put your teeth in. Tristan Dinnebrega, you can see him hitting those puddles on the left-hand side of the circuit. He is pushing hard and cracking on. Oh, Nathan Crook's off again. Nathan's overdone it into that hairpin twice now, and again he finds himself behind Danny Weir. He's going to be sick of looking at the back of that Porsche.
Yeah, James Howarth now 4th position in the Evo class, ahead of Robin Noel Brown behind him. And see all of the different ones that the drivers are trying to take just to find any sort of grip, but Robin Noel Brown appears to be missing quite a chunk of his front end there. For a very low downforce setup, but it'll be working out for him because he's got a lot of pace, doesn't he? On the outside of the DXT Scion Porsche, the 2 black and orange cars going wheel to wheel in towards turn 1. Bravery on the brakes there from Howarth.
That was great.
Seems to be enough to hold on to that position.
Yeah, he did really well there. It looked like he'd gone way too hot into that first corner, but no, kept it all together. They've got Paul Cowlishaw ahead of them, which is actually the biggest mover in the field, or highest mover in the field. He is 8th in class at the moment, and what he has done is gain 12 positions outright. John Ludbrook has gained 10 positions outright. He's going well, as Nathan Crook is off again. Nathan's had his 3rd off of this race, and I think that may be his last one. He's just... oh, he's caught the curb. Oh no, he's not actually done it there. Oh, is he just going to kiss the curb down here? Oh, that little tiny touch of the curb on the inside really unsettled the car. I was struggling to figure out where that was.
I think just the inside rear tyre that clipped it as well. The front seemed to just avoid a bit. There was that imbalance from the one single tyre that clipped it. That's what sent him round. Let's have a look at Cowlishaw.
I was just talking about Paul and him being the biggest mover in the field. Oh, look how quickly that went away. Wow. Jack Wyborn also had a drama as well. We're going to have a look at this. I think Jack's been having a bit of a tough time in that Ferrari around here. It's not been working for him. Through the left, touches the curb. Is it going to be this outside curb that's going to do it? Oh no, it's the inside curb. And oh, it's going to plough itself into the wall. And the Ferrari, unfortunately, not a fan.
No, seemingly the same sort of incident to Nathan Crook, clipping that inside rear tyre on the very slippery curb, and that's just enough to cause the imbalance of grip. We'll spin around instantly without any chance of the traction control or any sort of driver feedback to fix it, and then you're just into the barriers.
Oh,
big shame. Ooh, James Howarth with good pace up the inside, but then loses a little bit as he tries to put the power down on the inside line. But I think the evasive action that Robin Noel Brown had to take sees James continue on in the 4th position for the Evo class for the moment. Rob Mackay now looking all the way around the outside. Look at the visibility in towards turn 1. Could barely see the car of James Howarth as he got onto the brakes. Now as at the lower speeds it becomes a little bit easier to see. When they go full check to turn 1, it's so hard to know where everyone else is at.
yeah, it's crazy. The amount of spray and the rooster tails, even down the start-finish straight. It's just bonkers. Oh, it makes me twitch in my seat. It's brilliant. Bruno Silva is off the road again in the same place he had that moment earlier. He recovers back onto the circuit. But wow, busy night for some of these boys. Tristan Dinnebrega still leading the race. Just about a second now to Luke Lucchese. Christopher Radloff is in 3rd position. John Breitenbach is now down in 4th, and he's 5.2 seconds back from these guys, so he's not quite been on pace, but he's certainly making it look good, sliding sideways. We've got Lord of Chaos in the chat, Mark Fletcher as well. Good to see you guys. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying the racing so far. We're here for round 11 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship from Mugello. And it's Tristan Dinabrega, Luke Lucchese and Christopher Radloff, the top 3 in the elite class at the moment. Premier class is actually led by this man, Jonathan Provost, very under the radar, with Robin Aston 2nd, Matthew Jones 3rd. James Bostock is off the road. He's had a clout into the wall there as well by the look of that. Archie Craven is the man leading in the Evo class. He's 5 seconds clear of Danny Weir, and then Gareth Newton in 3rd, so it's Audi, Porsche, Lamborghini there. Let's see what happened to James Bostock here, Ed. Inside curb or outside curb? Place your bets.
It'll be the inside.
Oh, yeah, especially if it... Oh, no. I'm blaming the outside one.
Yeah.
Oh.
But was it the inside curve that forced into the outside? You could see, basically, as he hit it, it went straight on. It was a bit of column A, column B, I think.
Ah, shut up, Ed. no, I'm only annoyed because you're right.
We can both be right, Chaz. The diplomatic answer.
No, we can't.
Like a true politician.
No, we can't. We've got... Neither of these... Oh, there's the rev spiking on Tristan Dinabrega's Porsche. Neither of these guys can be right, though, because they battled last week, and it was Luke Lucchese all over the back of Tristan. And Tristan somehow held on to the win when Luke clearly had the pace over him. And it seems like this time we're having a bit of the same, where Luke is catching up with him in the midpoint of the race.
Looking on the left-hand side at pit stops, by the way, Luke King has moved up into 8th position after his stop earlier. Martin Kenyon came into the pits. Dennis Collar has been into the pits. So there's a few drivers that are making moves back up through the order now as more and more cars come into the pit lane. But we've only had really 6 that have had any as sort of scheduled stops at this point. So not too much to write home about in terms of pit stops yet. I think a lot of the drivers, they're just, when they get in a rhythm with conditions like this, you need to stick to it, don't you?
Yeah, you really do. Obviously, you've got the heat into the tyres as well coming into the pits, and now again does cool off the tyres quite a lot. See Paul Carlishaw, very low downforce setup there for his Lamborghini.
Yeah, that's going to feel like backside. Lucchese in the pits, by the way.
So Luke Lucchese coming in. See what happened to Paul Carlishaw. I think he's already missing the rear wing airs. He's been going around for quite a while. Oof, just drifts out onto the outside curb.
This is what caused the initial loss of Anne rear wing. It's tiptoeing, it's tiptoeing, it's tiptoeing. Oh, oh no, he just got tied together with Martin Kenyon, and then that backs him into the wall. Not much that Martin could have done there. Danny Weir, James Bostock, Gareth Newton all into the pit lane, while Tristan Dinabrega continues to lead. Luke Lucchese has been in and out very, very quickly. What's his gap back to Luke King? Oosh, a minute. How is he that far ahead of Luke? Did Luke have a drama early on or something?
I think Luke's been also stuck in a lot of traffic. You can see that his lap times have been a few seconds slower. He's been 209s, 210s as well. Just not been able to get that pace down because he came in earlier aiming for some clear track space, but wasn't really able to find it.
That is terrifying. You cannot see a thing. Suddenly a car just fades out of the mist towards you. And yeah, Luke is having to battle with this thing now, and obviously try not to just sit directly behind the car in front, not just because of the spray, but if you get caught out in any way by them on the brakes, that's that, and you're around. We've got Nathan Crook off the road again. Nathan's having a real nightmare tonight. He's certainly pushing it, isn't he? We commented on his confidence and, you know, his want to dive down the inside on the brakes previously, as we've looked away from Luke King, and in typical Chaz Draycott Media fashion, Luke's been in the wall. He rejoins in a less than savoury way, finds himself in the middle of the road, but Luke has been off the road. And I was just going to comment that it seems like Nathan's confidence and exuberance hasn't really matched him here. Oh, wow. Ha! It's just noises. It's just noises, everyone. That's all you're getting. Tristan Dinabrega then into the pit lane. You can see the Rooster Tails making their way down the start finisher. That's so cool. That's Christopher Radloff going through. Pit lane looks very slick as well, doesn't it, Ed?
Yeah, it's very, very slippery out there. See if that affects the drivers being able to get up and go from a standstill. So you need to be very careful to not get too much wheel spin. Sometimes it can help to get a bit more heat into those rear tyres, but don't want to do it too much because you'll lose a lot of the tread, which gives you the grip. And Luke Lucchese now ahead of Tristan Dinabrega.
Yep, Luke gets ahead of his teammate after the first pit stop, or the pit stop. And Luke will now inherit the lead, but will he hold on to it? Because wet weather racing certainly has no guarantees. We've seen a lot more variation in race order in these sorts of races. It's a lot more likely that someone's going to have a spin and have a moment. This is Russell Jakes coming into the pit lane. He's got Scott Kostrick right in front of him. And Nick Stubb. Nick Stubb was leading the Premier class at this point. It might have been slightly out of sync in terms of pit stops, but Nick is off the road. Back on the exit of the chicane. Looks like the sun might be coming out a little bit there, Ed. I saw a bit more shadow on some of the cars. A bit more shine and sheen, so potentially a bit of sunlight on the horizon. It's getting a little bit brighter, but not much.
Yeah, we are actually coming to the tail end of the rain as well. It's starting just to lighten up a little bit. And then I think come the end of the race, the rain might not be falling anymore. And then we'll basically have a track drying out over the course of the second 30-minute race. Obviously something to look for that second race is of course the reverse grid. It's the top 12 that are inverted from race order from race 1 to race 2. At the moment that honour goes to John Ludbrook, but I believe he's just going to be coming into the pits.
Christopher Radloff might not be at this point. Christopher, by the look of it, is underfueled. He's
massively underfueled.
Right in the middle of the road, though, which is not advisable. As in the background, Nick Stubb.
I don't know if he's actually going to be able to make it.
No, I'm not sure he will. He's not chosen the best of places to put the car. I must admit, not too impressed by that. John Breitenbach had to take avoiding action then, and Ryan Ottens is now into the pits. But Tristan Dinabrega is now back in front of Luke Lucchese.
Oh. Impressive stuff by Tristan. We'll see how it happened.
Literally just did it here. It's that.
Ooh,
wow.
That massive slide there from Luke. Well held. Maybe not quite as well held as initially. He looked like he had it under control for a brief moment. He will be
fuming with that. I wasn't impressed by it anyway, but he will be fuming with that. Being affected by it like that. Ati Nagel. No. Oh, I think he just kissed the wall there. Then John Ludbrook has had an incident. Oh, what's happened here? Because he's seemingly just disconnected. Oh no, here he is. He's having connection or hardware issues there. So unfortunately for John, seems like it's been the end of the line. But Tristan Dinabrega is back in the lead of this race now.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Luke Lucchese. I want to see that again because he looked like he had it under control and then just suddenly had a second phase of the slide, which is very easily done. You can see actually a definite dry line starting to form now, can't you, Chaz?
Yeah, certainly a lighter part of the circuit glowing away. But as we look at the order now then, with 7 minutes left on the clock here in round 11 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship, it's Tristan Dinabrega in the Porsche we see here leading this race. He got the lead back after Luke Lucchese was avoiding traffic. Luke Lucchese in second position. John Breitenbach holding on to third for Barbecue Bread Racing. Jonathan Provost, really solid run from him in the Premier class at the moment. 8.5 seconds clear of the likes of Robin Aston in the Suma GP2 Porsche. Then Matthew Jones in third place for Glass Second DXT. And once again we have Archie Craven doing a great job in this Audi R8. Really showing everybody how to handle this car. The GHR K1 Esports machine flying. Martin Kenyon still trying to chase him down though. Martin had an early stop. He's had some shenanigans and some dramas in this race, but he's managed them well. Hopefully better than his internet manages it. Danny Weir is next up as well. I want to point out that White Van Gaming, by the way, was in the chat earlier. Good to see you, Ben. He says, how do? It's Happy Yorkshire Day, everyone. Hope it gives Martin an extra boost of luck tonight. So, you never know. It could be down to that. Robin Noel Brown is exploring the track limits at the moment. Having a bit of an adventure out there into the sea. But yeah, it's definitely brighter now, Ed. You can see the cars glowing away and shining, especially the Gold Bears JSD Racing Team livery. And look at that, yeah, definite sort of sheen and shine on the circuit from certain angles. This could get brilliant when it starts to dry out now. I'm looking forward to this. We've had more dramas though, I'm afraid. Bruno Silva in the Ludcrook racing machine. And then they made a bit of a habit of it last lap because Nathan Crook has been off again. I think this has ended his race. Is that out of fuel? Oh no. Oh, he was staying out of the way of the leaders and everything. He was doing a great job and he's ended up in the escape road. And I think that was that for him. Joseph Preston then had a drama. He's come out of the pits down towards turn 1. And he's got the 177. I think that is Bruno Silva behind him. And he's just gone straight on.
On tyres. No grip whatsoever. Obviously just being in the pit lane. They have some heat to start with. Oof.
He's on dries.
He's on dries?
So was Nathan Crook. Nathan Crook was on dry tyres as well. So they seemingly took them by mistake in the pit stops. Dennis Collar then had this problem. I think he's just going to run a little bit wide into here maybe. Oh yeah, just hit the painted part of the circuit. Nice. The gravel, to be fair, now on iRacing the gravel is a lot more adhesive. So it sort of grabs the car, doesn't it, and straightens it up slightly when you have a moment.
Yeah, it does, especially in the wet as well. I do think it seems to grab it a lot more in the wet as it would do in real life. It's a lot more sort of prone to compaction with the water, helping to slow you down. Tristan de Brega, nothing seems to be slowing him as he continues to build his lead over his teammate Luke Lucchese. What a race it's been so far. Yet more drama this time for Scott Kostrick. Just getting past there by John Lodbrooke. A little bit better a rejoin than what we've seen so far, but to give a lot of the drivers credit, even though we have maybe slightly criticised some of their rejoins, it's so difficult to have any control of your car in the wet whatsoever, especially going from the grass to the tarmac.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we don't want to look like we're sort of underappreciating it or, you know, taking it for granted. Martin Kenyon has just been off the road. Martin Kenyon from 2nd place in class. There's, dearie me in the background, that's Ashley Brooks going around and he's in the wall hard. Graham Matthew had a problem just before this as well. I wonder whether Martin Kenyon's had to avoid him because he's only a few cars back here. Graham Matthew around into the wall, and that's going to put him right in the middle of the road. No, Martin Kenyon's issue was separate. Oh yeah, you can see he arrived on the scene already in the wall. Oh, that's such a shame. He's carrying on though, he's pushing on. What's the car like? I mean, it's a Lamborghini, so you never know who's going in a straight line anyway. We'll stay on board for a sec. I don't know. It might be alright.
Drivable. It seems to be straight as well. Might be a little bit down on straight line performance, but should be able to nurse it till the end of the race without losing too much more time with only 2.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, and about 2 minutes a lap as well. Whereabouts are our leaders? About 3/4 of the way around a lap actually. So we will have just one more lap after this in round 11 of the championship. Thanks once again to the championship sponsors, Kame, Medius, Keenan Eco Energy, GitGud Racing and AB Designs. Really appreciate your support. Love having you guys on board, and we know the guys at Evolution Sim Racing are grateful for it as well. As there's been a bit of a shimmying around here, as Archie Craven has just lost a place to Joe Spara, and in doing so he's lost a bit of time actually, and Nick Stubb wants a bit of this as well. Oh, Archie just having a blink in and out for a second there. But the Audi, to be fair, he's made it look good. He's made it look very good as, oh no, Ashley Brooks is off again. Ash off and in the wall. Robin Noel Brown now off the road and all. So it may be drying out a little bit, Ed, but flipping heck, it's not getting easier.
No, it's not. I think it might be sort of having a paradoxical effect where the track is drier, but the drivers, they're pushing harder and making more mistakes as a result. They're really trying to find a lot of the grip and seeing what areas are drying and what areas are definitely still slippery. It's catching them out just a little bit more, especially those curbs. You can see that they're not at all comfortable to drive on. But look at the drying line already forming.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that it's a lot of the racing line that is drying out there, because a lot of them have been taking a wet line, so they've not actually been driving over that section, but I suppose it's just how it works sometimes, and you will get drivers still racing the racing line, the traditional dry line. not risking anything by taking a wet line. Even there, look, Tristan Dinabrega on the inside of the circuit, over the curbs despite the standing water. And pushing on here with just a few corners left to go. Second race of the night is going to be mighty interesting if this carries directly over, because there's going to be drivers that have to stick to a very narrow dry line.
Yeah, they will do. So what we're seeing is potentially a dry line as well as maybe just a slippier line with all of that tarmac being laid down. You definitely see areas though, especially through the chicanes, where the drivers have been able to clear a path through the standing water. Now to clear a path through everybody, all that tried to take his top spot, none were able to best Tristan Dinabrega in this first race. Great drive.
Brilliant stuff from Tristan Dinabrega. He takes the win in round 11 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. Luke Lucchese finishes in second place, with Jean Breitenbach completing the podium in the Porsche. Ryan Otten's next up, and it's going to be Jonathan Provost that takes the win in the Premier class here, Ed.
Very impressive drive there, just being able to keep it going. 5th overall as well from the cover sim race. We didn't actually see too much of Jonathan, did we, Chaz? He seemed to have a nice calm race, but to be fair, that's exactly what you want in these changeable conditions, is just to stay out of trouble, and oftentimes the result will come to you.
Absolutely. It's going to be Robin Aston in second place, with Matthew Jones just behind him. Well done to those guys to complete the podium there, and in the background there you can see Archie Craven taking another victory in the Audi. Great performance from him in the Evo class there. And then Danny Weir with some solid points for his team's championship as well, and of course his drivers' championship. And Gareth Newton is going to complete the podium for the Lamborghini drivers in the Suma GP2 squadron. He crosses the line. Rooster tails aplenty, but Tristan Dinabrega takes a very good win. Luke Lucchese, you could argue, not quite robbed, but I'll tell you one thing, he'll be a bit fuming about that lap traffic there, won't he, with it just being sort of sat on the line. I think was it Radloff actually that was involved in that, because Radloff was up there earlier on, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think Radloff was the one who ran out of fuel, wasn't it, and just trying to coast it back to the pit lane, going very slowly. He tried to stay to one side of the circuit, but it just so happened that as they were approaching, the side he was on was the racing line. Tricky stuff, but of course, what's done is done, and there is a second race still to come. Top 12 being inverted, and it is Danny Weir that's going to be on pole position.
Yes, because the reverse grid does not count any sort of class positions. It's all down to overall position. And Danny Weir finished 12th outright. And for context, the iRating difference in the top drivers. I mean, we've got Tristan Dinabrega, 4,290 points. Danny Weir with 635 iRating. He's actually got the lowest iRating in the field. Not to point that out too, obviously, Danny. Sorry, but just to say that there is, you see a variation in the iRating in these sorts of fields. But with league racing, it brings everyone so close together on pace. It's great to see. It's not always down to your official iRating. So, anyway. Let's have a look at, the right class. Let's have a look at the elite class. Tristan Dinabrega wins. He takes the win from his teammate Luke Lucchese, with Jean Breitenbach in third position. Ryan Ottens was next up in fourth, ahead of Joe Glass, with Luke King in sixth, Paul Cowlishaw seventh, Christopher Radloff and Nathan Crook 1 lap down and 2 laps down. Ed May taking away with the Premier class.
Oh, yeah, unmute would be good. Sorry, Jonathan Provost there, ahead of Robin Aston. It was a great race by Jonathan, actually, to be fair. Nice undercover performance for the undercover sim racing driver that saw him take top honours in the Premier class. Robin Aston there in second, and Matthew Jones in third. Josh Barrett there for fourth. One of the first times I've actually seen him again. Not finishing on to the podium, but hoping for better things in the second race. And then to Nick Stubb in fifth. James Bostock, Russell Rex, Robin Mackay, Scott Kostrick and John Ludbrook complete your top 10, with Atty Miguel, Bruno Silva finishing on the lead lap. Jack Weidman finishes 6 lap downs, Marcel Raitmack 8 laps down. Should still be able to score at least some points.
And then moving on to the Evo class, we have Archie Craven, who takes the victory there after another solid drive in the Audi. Danny Weir finishing in 2nd place in class, 12th overall, gives him pole position for this next race. Gareth Newton representing the Lamborghinis in 3rd place there. Martin Kenyon 4th. Martin will be devastated after that one because he was running so well up until that point. Robin Noel Brown certainly had a lively performance in that one. A lot going on for Robin there. James Howarth in 6th. Dennis Collar, the last car on the lead lap. And then the cars 1 lap down on Moore. Ashley Brooks, Graham Matthew and Joseph Preston. So a slightly smaller field this time round, Ed. But we have, of course, another race yet to go. Any idea in terms of conditions what we can expect? No, me neither.
Sorry again. You can definitely see a wet to dry line forming, can't you? All the way down that start-finish straight. Look at that dry line that's started to emerge. Drivers really going out there now to make the most of the sort of in-between session from race 1 to race 2. The warm-up going on for 5 minutes. Drivers are really just trying to hunt down all of the track space. But for now, some drivers actually opting to go out there on dry tyres, Martin Kenyon being one of them, giving it a feel just for conditions out on track.
Yeah, certainly pretty conditions. One of iRacing's newest circuits, Mugello, so it benefits from a lot of the newer textures. And yeah, Martin really is throwing the car about just to see what it's like off the dry line, see whether it will behave itself. You can see just how much they move around off that wet line. It's literally like, wow, it's like driving on ice. I don't think that you can risk it. Really don't think you can risk it with it being like that. You can see the car had no grip whatsoever. A few of them still using the wets because at the end of the day the wets are a bit more versatile. You don't have all the grip in the world on the dries. And you can see you can see just how much they are waving about. And they are, well, pushing the limits to what they can get out of these cars. With just 1 minute left to warm up, they don't get long to adjust to the conditions, but no mucking about here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. They will throw their competitors back into the ring and say, nah, you can go to the loo or something, and, well, then just get back in the ring. Hurry up, sort your priorities out. So, Danny Weir there just behind. He's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders here. He's going to be starting from pole position. Just looking now at the times that have been set, and obviously there's none. Trying to just figure out what the lap times are like compared to earlier, but they will be a lot quicker. It's just that the drivers need to be so careful. We'll have to wait and see who manages to keep it on the black stuff out of the blocks this time round. But this man, Christopher Radloff, certainly will be not the most chuffed after earlier. He lost the front row position off the start, dropped a bunch of places in the opening lap, and now has to work hard to try and recuperate what he lost earlier on. Although actually I'm not sure if he's going to benefit from reverse grid at all. But either way, we are now going to find out, because the grid will form up in just a moment, and we will get ready to set up round 12 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship in their 5th season now. Danny Weir starting on pole position in the DXT Magenta car. He's going to be alongside Archie Craven, so it's the 2 Evo drivers on the very front row of the grid. Nick Stubb and Joe Shapara will be the 2 Premier drivers to lead the way in their class on row 2. Then it's going to be Matthew Jones and Robin Aston starting on row 3. Joe Glass, the highest placed elite driver, in 7th. Jonathan Provost alongside him after his win in the Premier class just a moment ago. Ryan Otton's next up with John Breitenbach alongside him. Luke Lucchese and Tristan Dinabrega complete the top 12 places. Then it's the rest of the field as they finished. James Bostock just missing out on reverse grid poles. Same with Gareth Newton as well. Only a couple more places would have done it. Martin Kenyon finishing in 15th ahead of Luke King, Robin Noel Brown and James Howarth. Then we have Russell Jakes and Rob Mackay, Scott Kostrick and John Ludbrook, Dennis Collar and Atti Nagel, And then we have Paul Cowlishaw and Bruno Silva. Christopher Radloff will start from 27th on the grid this time round. Ashley Brooks alongside him. Nathan Crook and Graham Matthew hoping for more luck this time round. Joseph Preston will start alongside Jack Wyborn. And Marcel Breitenbach in the Barbecue Bread Racing Audi will complete our field. So everybody getting moving then. And Danny Weir at the front of them with no clouds in the sky now that the storm is done. It is going to dry out mighty, mighty quickly. We'll have to see what the drivers make of this. Just a quick note as well, a parish notice. Ed has had to jump off for the evening, unfortunately. He's not been very well at the moment, and he's got a very, very sore throat. And he's been pushing on through the first race of the night, but unfortunately he's had to sort of slip me the doctor's note between races that he's got to go off tonight. But hats off to Ed for at least coming on and giving us a show. Hopefully, if a lot of you are in the chat, you can show Ed your thanks and appreciation. Does a wonderful job. Turns up all the time. He's done many a broadcast when he's been ill, to be fair, and he is an absolute trooper, so hats off to him. But it's just you and me now, chat, for this second race of the evening, this second half-hour race. You can see that the timer in the top left is clicking down, but it will reset when they get to the line, basically. This doesn't eat into the half hour. We do get half an hour of green flag racing here in this championship. And we look forward to seeing what these guys make of this, because it's two Evo drivers on the front row, Danny Weir and Archie Craven. Then we have two Premier drivers, Nick Stubb and Joe Shapara. Joe Shapara, of course, leading the Premier Class Championship. Nick Stubb had a very lively race earlier on, but still finished inside the top 10 overall. And of course we have the likes of Tristan Dinabrega and Luke Lucchese side by side with each other, waiting to do battle once again, but this time thrown into the thick of the pack on the 6th row of the grid. Paul Cowlishaw in the Lamborghini will be hoping for more luck this time round. You can see somebody with a little connection issue or two there, throwing a bit of debris up in the air. This is going to be the view from Marcel Breitenbach's car with the entire field just in front. You can see the cars still flicking up a little bit of the water. There is a drying line there. Let's just have a look at what tyres everybody's on at the moment. If you look on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see, if I bring up the graphic, everybody on wets. The little blue circle with the W signifying that they're all on wet tyres. Everybody is on wets for the start of this race. So there will be no drivers that sort of stand out here on different rubber. No one's risking the dries or anything. They're all going for it on the wets. I think we saw a few of them go out on dries between sessions, and you could see the amount of nope was considerable. But there is definitely a dry line. The reflections on the puddles look absolutely lovely. iRacing, as I always say whenever I'm broadcasting wet weather racing, have absolutely nailed the wet weather. There's not really anything that they haven't put together well recently. But the field now starting to slow down slightly as they get towards the end of the formation lap. And these 33 cars will be unleashed down the long start-finish straight here at Mugello. And it's Danny Weir that is going to be in control of all of them. He chooses when they go. They don't always go when the lights come on, because when we see the lights go red in the sim, you see those start-finish lights at the top, when we see them go red is actually when they go green in the sim. We hold now patiently. Archie Craven moving over to the right a little bit to put Danny Weir under pressure. And before you know it, round 12 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship is underway, and what a getaway that is by Danny Weir. Fantastic job. Flies away from Archie Craven, who manages to sit in front of the car behind Nick Stubb. And they roll their way down towards the first corner for the first time. Is everyone going to behave themselves? There's a lot of guinea pigs in there trying to not outbrake themselves. There's a few of them having to break the spray and break through the slipstream. There's Bruno Silva moving out of the way of his teammate Nathan Crook there. Nathan on the inside line, gets past Atti Nagel, kicks the back end out a little bit. Atti takes avoiding action. This in the middle here is for the lead in the Evo class, I believe. No, it's not, because that's the front two. Sorry, it's Martin Kenyon just up the road ahead of Gareth Newton. Look at this lot in here as well. Tristan Dinabrega side by side with John Breitenbach. He's on the painted surface on the outside now. Can't make anything work through there. Danny Weir still leading the race. Nobody has been off the road yet. Fantastic stuff by everybody. Really tidy in these very difficult, changeable conditions. You've got to be mighty careful here, because you can easily shred those wet tyres if the drying line gets more and more prominent. You will see drivers over the course of this race, I think, try and take a bit of a wider wet line in places, especially down the start-finish straights as Cowlishaw is around. Oh, he just understeered into the side of the Porsche, and he has to recover very quickly. Danny Weir doing a great job here in the lead of the race. He now leads it from Archie Craven. Nick Stubb is leading the Premier class. He wants to get past Archie Craven. He's looking down the inside. Oh, he's giving a bit of a kiss down the inside there. Nick Stubb not leaving anything on the table. Just needs to be really careful and not be clumsy, although Danny Weir had a nightmare through that long sweeping right-hander. What have these guys got in the tank now? Is Craven around? Craven's around. Archie Craven is off and he's in the barrier. From second position outright. Archie recovers. Is the car broken? Oh, that's Kenyon. Kenyon off in the wall as well. Luckily doesn't bounce into the middle of the road. As again Jack Wyborn off as well. And now is that Graham Matthew. Graham Matthew off in the wall. Some of the same guys having issues on repeated occasions at that chicane tonight. And that is a massive shame for Archie Craven after taking the win in class earlier on. He is now heavily damaged and not in the fight for this one. This is Joe Glass down the inside of his teammate Matthew Jones, just behind Jonathan Provost, side by side with Robin Aston. He tries to go around the outside at turn one. Can he find the grip all the way out there? Yes, he can. What a great slingshot off the corner that was by Jonathan Provost. In the middle of all this, we've got Luke Lucchese and Tristan Dinabrega. But that was Archie Craven that lost it originally. Martin Kenyon also went off the road as well. Marcel Breitenbach has had a drama in his Audi. He was fighting there with Joseph Preston. Paul Cowlishaw in there now as well. He's in the same class. But would you look at that? It's Evo class leading the way, then Premier class, then Elite. On paper, it's the other way around. This is Matthew Jones fighting hard with Jonathan Provost. And behind that, Luke Lucchese all over the back of Ryan Ottens. Lovely looking conditions here with the sun shining above us. But then, of course, the moisture down on the circuit still keeping it almost black streaks around the circuit where the moisture is. There's been an issue for Dennis Collar. He's been off the road. Nathan Crook has also been off and come back on. Luke Lucchese's just got off. Literally the moment I cut away from these guys, they have moments. Luke spins it around on the grass, gets back up to speed. Let's have a quick look, a quick recap on these. This is Dennis Collar. He's going to hit that inside curb like we've seen before. No, he's not. Well, Nathan Crook looks down the inside. I think Nathan sort of felt like he didn't have anywhere to go there, but he sort of put his nose down the inside of him. And I don't think there was much of a gap there. No, that was closing, unfortunately, I'd say. And then, he nearly had it together, actually, on the exit, did Nathan. Then the car just said, no, thank you. And then it let go on him. Luke Lucchese, let's see how he did it. We'll go on board. Is he just going to hit that inside curb as well? Oh, he bounces off the back of Ryan Ottens. We've seen that a lot recently with iRacing's updated damage model. It's always the car behind that bounces off. A few drivers in the pit lane. John Breitenbach, Archie Craven, Luke Lucchese coming in. These guys trying their best now to make sure that they don't have time out on the circuit where they're stuck in traffic. Is that moisture in the pit lane sort of evolving? It's very strange. You can see the sort of live circuit data. Nick Stubb has taken the race lead, by the way. Nick Stubb has got himself right to the front of this race, ahead of Danny Weir, who's then got Joe Glass in there, leading in the elite class. Joe Shapara in the Premier class is second in his class. Jonathan Provost is third. This is a mix of all these guys. I'll show you the overall standings on the left. Look, you've got Premier, Evo, Elite, Premier, Premier. And they are all over each other. As look at that, round the outside by Joe Glass. That's an inspired move round the outside of Danny Weir. What a move that was, Joe. Have that one. Oh no, Shapara puts it down the inside. I don't think that gap was ever going to get any bigger. He gets squeezed to the apex by Danny Weir. Danny not obliged to move over by being in the Evo class. I think Joe just thought that he was naturally able to get alongside and be given the room. Didn't work this time round. Luckily though, carries on. As you can see, almost everyone down to 13th place outright, Gareth Newton, is a Porsche. So we've got a long streak of them at the moment, as this is Paul Cowlishaw side by side with Breitenbach. As Ashley Brooks rejoins the circuit after going off in the Corvette. Not sure the Corvette behaving itself tonight for Ashley. Don't think he's had the best relationship with this car since jumping in. He's got Preston down his inside, Joseph Preston. Graham Matthews just gone off, and so too has Joe Shapara. Joe Shapara has a drama, comes back on. But there's been a big drama with Graham Matthew, Jack Wyborn and Luke Lucchese. Okay, so Graham Matthew having one issue. Oh, he's come out on dries. So too has Jack Wyborn, and so too has Luke Lucchese. Luke Lucchese has been out on dry tyres, and he's put it in the barrier. Unbelievable stuff. Luke Lucchese, yeah, you can see actually one of the Lamborghinis reversing back across the circuit there, which I think was Graham Matthew. So have cars that have been into the pits automatically been given dry tyres? Certainly looks like it, as Rob Mackay runs a little bit deep there into the chicane. He's got the likes of Christopher Radloff wanting to come through. Nick Stubb has been off. Nick Stubb, from the lead of the race, is around, and Joe Glass goes through. Nick Stubb leading outright and into the chicane. He's just going to go in too hot. Look, it's gone around on him already, and exit stage left he goes. And that means Joe Glass leads this race. Nick Stubb is off again as well. The car still not behaving itself. Joseph Preston has now been off the road as well. Can confirm though, unfortunately for Joe, he's still on wets. So the circuit not behaving itself. There's Martin Kenyon and Archie Craven wanting to come through, two of the top guys in the Evo class. Normally anyway, these guys are way down on where we usually see them. Archie has a look down the inside. Martin has to really back it up. Archie nearly loses the back end, and again sideways through there. Makes a great noise to the 5.2 litre V10s, but certainly not in the way they would have liked. Danny Weir still leading in the Evo class, right in front of Matthew Jones right now. Ooh, Jonesy. Very, very tasty slide through there. Look at the drying line now though. The weather is getting hotter and hotter. Air temperature still actually showing is 19 degrees, but just because there's sunlight on the circuit, it's drying out very, very quickly. Nathan Crook, I mean, look at it on dries. It doesn't want to do anything on dries, and Nathan's going to have to try and crawl the car around to get back to the pits and potentially get back on wets. You can easily shred these wets though, like I've said before, so you need to be careful and make sure you're looking after them. As Jack Wyborn has just gone off the circuit there in front of these guys, and he's gone in the wall and back to the pits, understandably. Those dry tyres, definitely not the ones to be on. I think some of them jumping onto it a little bit too quickly. Luke Lucchese back off the circuit again. Rob Mackay is back out on dries as well. He's got dry tyres on. Not sure if he knows that yet or what, but he has got dries on. And unfortunately, I think Rob thinks he's made the right call here. And I think we're about to see that he might not. We'll see. Let's just go on board with him for a sec. Heading down towards turn 1 then. Coming out of the pits. You can see it's a very dry circuit. There's still a little bit of spray here and there. Paul Cowlishaw is having issues right now. He's dropping down. Look at that. Well, Rob is having to tiptoe here. I think he's hoping he's made the right call in that people will get back onto dries much later, but it's looking to me like there's still so much moisture. That car is... no. Oh my goodness me, it's really cutting into the traction control. Battles going on here though, right near the front of the order. Danny Weir just in front of Matthew Jones and Tristan Dinnebrega. Jones, he's had a slide. Oh, Dinnebrega just goes into the back of him. Don't think he expected him to lose that much speed through that. We go on board with Tristan. The wet tyres still dissipating the moisture on the circuit. Ryan Ottens and Joe Glass are further up the road. for the overall race lead. Nathan Crook is off the circuit again. Martin Kenyon's had another off as well. Oh, Marcel Breitenbach. Marcel Breitenbach is in the wall in the Audi. Oh, goodness me. Bruno Silva is off the road too. So even though there's not as much rain as there was earlier, this is still mighty, mighty tricky. Jones gets past Weir. They head back up the hill now, and it's going to be Tristan Dinabrega's turn to try and get back past the Evo driver, but Danny's still leading the class at the minute. Look at Tristan there trying to set the run up on the exit of the corner. You can still see the amount of spray being kicked up by these things. Tristan makes it clear he wants to look down the inside. Late on the brakes, Danny affords him the room. Good respectful stuff that from Danny Weir. Fair play to him as nearly a kiss on the exit there, and through wants to go Robin Aston. He's third in the Premier class at the moment, is Robin. As Danny's he's trying to be as respectful and safe as possible with these guys around him, but he's got a lot to think about right now, leading this class. Like I said, just 635 I rating, Danny Weir. He's taking on some of these guys with thousands and thousands of I rating. Joe Spara having to take avoiding action. He's off the road. Car down his inside once again is James Bostock. Don't hit the series admin, Joe. You won't like that. James on the brakes down the inside. We've got a good battle going on further here, by the way, as well. This is Ati Nagel with Dennis Kohler and Nick Stubb in there as well. These guys flinging their Porsches around. Nick Stubb says thank you. I'll go through there as well. Scott Kostrick off in his Porsche. Ryan Ottens now in the lead of the race. He's overtaken Joe Glass. That is risky through there. Robin Noel Brown is off the circuit. Does anyone want to do anything like, I don't know, finish the race? There's cars off everywhere. Joe Glass has now gone back into the lead because Ryan Ottens has gone off. I thought Ryan was pushing too hard. Jonathan Provost has gone back through as well. He leads in the Premier class. And Joe Glass leads the race. Clear as day. Get it? I just went to slap my knee and missed. More battles. Luke King side by side with Robin Aston. James Bostock in there as well. The two Suma GP2 Porsches side by side down the start finish straight. With Joe Spara in there as well. This is great to watch, isn't it? So much going on. As it looks to me like he's gone in hot. And he's committed the #1 cardinal sin in motorsport. Robin Aston not only has hit the series admin, but he's hit his teammate. Look at them all just being careful not to trip over each other. Is that Luke Lucchese? That's Luke Lucchese on dries. Luke is having a nightmare on those tyres out there. If you needed an indication that it was not the right tyre to go on, there it is. Because once the circuit is dry enough for dries, you're going to see a huge difference in that. Archie Craven has just had to recover from being off the road. He's got a bit of damage on that Audi as well. Whoa, it's like it was on ice then. Archie is also on dry tyres. Go on board and see just how lively this is. Oh, it's so difficult. Look how wide he's having to go just to stay on the dry bit of the track, and even then it's colossally understeery. So careful of all the water around him as well. You can feel that the car just, I mean, look at that. It just wants to go straight on. Just wants to go absolutely straight on everywhere. Battle is on for the lead, and guess what? There it is. This is the lead outright in this race, so hopefully Archie doesn't hinder these guys in any way. That's Joe Glass. Jonathan Provost in the Premier class looking for an overall race lead here. Then Ryan Ottens in this as well. He's taken a few wins so far this season. He wants to make it his third win. As Provost, has a bit of a moment there. Ottens alongside him, you can see him in the rear view mirror. Ottens is on some of the wet bit of the circuit. Now slides in front, but straight into the slipstream goes Provost. There you can see he gains a little bit more speed back from him. Fastest lap of the race, that by Ryan Ottens. So the circuit is getting quicker and quicker all the time. As Provost goes deep into turn 1. He was late on the brakes there, trying to get past Ryan as he now tries to have a go at Joe Glass. Joe just trying to keep his cool, keep it tidy. But it's Provost leading the way in the Premier class. Robin Noel Brown has inherited the lead now in the Evo class. There's been a number of drivers that have pitted so far as well. We'll show you on the left-hand side of your screen. Jean Breitenbach actually doing the fastest lap of the race now. He's on wets, just so you're aware. And he's got no traffic around him. He's just on the fastest lap of the entire race. Ashley Brooks, more issues for him in this Corvette. I think, again, no, he's actually on wets. I thought he was on dries then, the way that the car spun up the rears. As Gareth Newton is now the next one to have an off. And he's going to, yeah, fair play. I mean, I was going to say you don't want to join in the middle of the circuit, Gareth, but he was doing the right thing there. He lobbed it completely across the track. Didn't spin it around in the middle of the road. And he got it completely clear of anybody coming his way. So, Joe Glass, Ryan Ottens, Tristan Dinnebrega, the top 3 in the elite class. They're 1st, 2nd and 4th overall. Jonathan Provost, Matthew Jones, James Bostock, top 3 in Premier, and they are 3rd, 5th and 6th overall. Robin Noel Brown leads the way in the Evo class, and he is in 10th place outright. James Howarth is 11th overall, and Gareth Newton is 16th overall. Show you on the left-hand side. The white stripes next to their names, or what looks like invisible stripes, are the elite drivers. We've then got Premier, the yellow stripes, and then the red is the Evo class. This is Bruno Silva getting, oh dearie me, back up to speed. That's one of his teammates there. That's the 227 going through of Nathan Crook in the elite class. Oh, you could hear the revs spike for a moment there. Archie Craven's off the road again, unfortunately. These dry tyres, no! Oh my goodness me, how on earth did Robin Aston miss him there? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking myself, and I don't know. We're going to find out just how that looked from Rob's point of view. Archie's gone off the circuit again. But he comes back on, and as he's on the painted bit of the circuit, the car just suddenly spikes left as he hits the moisture. Oh, that is so close. Yeah, Archie's unfortunately called it a day, and he's into the pit lane. There's more and more drivers going out there on dries, you know. Christopher Radloff is on dry tyres. And he's, I was going to say, finding pace. He did 2:43.9 last time out. Don't think he's had any luck. Nathan Crook weaving around a little bit on the straight. He's on dries. I think he's just trying to get a bit of moisture away from them and obviously get a bit of temperature into them. Bit risky with the wet lines either side. But if Nathan's anything, he's flamboyant. That's James Howarth in front of him. Oh, look at that. The back end just wanted to overtake the front there. It wanted to completely go around. They're just having to tiptoe like mad, aren't they? All the way around this circuit. Joe Glass still leads the way then. Leads it outright and leads in the elite class with 11.5 minutes left to go here in round 12 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. It's great to be back for Season 5 as, oh, these guys, whoa, hello, Ryan Ottens. Oh, no, Ryan. Now, there was no intention of doing that. But unfortunately, I think Ryan just got caught out there. He's taken the race lead through that manoeuvre as well, unbelievably, as they both come into the pit lane. This is what Ryan saw of it. So Kostrick was losing it, and then, oh wow, I mean, it's terrifying. Ryan tried to rejoin as sort of gently as possible, didn't he? And then unfortunately, it was just that tiny touch flung Scott Kostrick into the wall. That will be looked at. Oh, there's the understeer, you see. He gets out of it, so he's not in the water. Ryan goes through, and then, oh man, that's a sickening hit as well for Scott Kostrick. And that's one of those times where you're glad it's only a sim and not the real thing. Ryan Ottens back out of the pits, leading the way by some distance. What on earth has happened to Joe Glass? Joe Glass has been in the pits for about 11 seconds longer than the drivers around him. He's going to have to concede this at some point to James Bostock, I hope, because it ain't pretty. I don't mean to speak with an American accent, sorry. Now, what tyres are these guys on? Well, it's easy to tell what tyres Joe's on, because they resemble his surname. They are like driving on glass wheels on dry tyres. I think he expected the change to be a positive one, and unfortunately, no. We can see this as the spectators. We have the benefit of knowing that the wet tyres are probably still the ones to be on. The drivers that have been in are mainly on wets. You can see it here. I mean, if we bring this up and then this up. Oh, okay. Seemingly it doesn't like to show tyre compounds before the amount of stops. You can see Glass, Radloff, they're both on dries, but for reference, Radloff is down in 17th place outright. Robin Aston is on dries as well. He's just done a... looking at the lap times, actually, Radloff did a 2:06.0 last time round. Race leaders are doing 2:05s before they've come into the pits. Some of them are making this work. I mean, by work, I mean it looks like hard work. But if you look at the overall standings, look, we've got Joe Glass, the highest placed driver, on dry tyres right now. And, I mean, it doesn't look like he's really struggling. It's just the understeer on the way into the corner that has been a nightmare for him. We'll keep the tyre compounds up on the screen so you can get an idea of it. Race leader Matthew Jones into the pit lane. GlassTech DXT driver crawling down the pit lane. 8.5 minutes left to go. Any moment now, though, Ryan Ottens will round the final corner, and there he is, in fact. And he will cross the line. He has pitted. Everybody has pitted now, I can tell you. Jones is putting dry tyres on. Jones is going out there on slicks. Now, are these wets going to last? I think they're going to last enough to outdo the trickiness of, well, that tells you about the dry tyres, doesn't it? Gareth Newton off and in the wall in a big, big way there. Archie Craven has also been back off the circuit again. He's still out there on dry tyres. Look, it just doesn't want to play. I mean, it's just like being on complete sheet ice. Like, even without power in, look at them. They're just pirouetting around all over the shop. Bruno Silva had an off as well. There's just nothing. There is no adhesion whatsoever underneath the cars that are on dries. Unfortunately for these guys, it has not worked out. Ryan Ottens is certainly working it out there in the Alpha 1 Esports machine. He's been great in these sprint race rounds, hasn't he? Jonathan Provost as well, doing a lovely job leading the way in the Premier class. Robin Noel Brown also holding on to his lead in the Evo class. He's 2.3 seconds up the road from this man, Danny Weir. Danny started on pole position. And he is still very much in the fight. James Howarth behind him by 1.7 seconds. There he is, actually, just in the back of shot. Martin Kenyon next up. He wants a podium. He didn't get a podium earlier in his Lamborghini, and he's had to work very hard for this tonight. You can see, James Howarth has a slide, and so too does Martin. Oh, it's what we call the Rocket League effect. If someone misses the ball in Rocket League, it really throws you off, and in a weird way, like as if you're going to hit the ball. You just somehow don't when someone else misses. It's like it really distracts you for that final moment because it doesn't do what you were expecting it to. As Kenyon rejoins the circuit. Martin is on wets, as you see. But the car still not behaving itself. More drivers off. Ludbrook off the road. Oh, goodness me. Nick Stubb off the circuit as well. Nick a long way off the circuit. Almost has to pay to get back in. Jean Breitenbach is second in the elite class at the moment. Doing mighty, mighty fine. Let's have a look at some lap times then of those that are on dries. Joe Glass last time round did a 2:04.8. And the cars ahead of him, yeah, on the wets there. I mean, Tristan Dinabrega did a 2:01. So, yeah, clearly Christopher Radloff is off the circuit there with dry tyres underneath him. It's not working for these guys on the dries, I'm afraid. It's not dry enough for them. We had similar in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge on Tuesday night, where it wasn't quite wet enough for wets in some cases, but it wasn't dry enough for dries either. And just because of the nature of them, it was the wets that were the ones that prevailed. Look at this from Marcel Breitenbach. That is a car that does not want to behave itself. Look how easily that went around. Not to highlight this for Marcel, but this is just how easy it is. Look at that. It's just nothing. It's just floating above the surface, unfortunately. And the car given up on him there. Ashley Brooks has had another issue in the Corvette. He's good at recovering, though. I'll tell you what. He's been doing well with his sort of... What would they be? It's not even a donut, is it? It's 180s. Sort of like handbrake turn almost, isn't it? But without handbrake. To get it back facing the right way. This is Joe Glass, currently 5th place. Dry tyres. Robin Noel Brown, the car behind him on wets. The Evo class leader. Coming towards the end of the lap, you can see a lot of understeer still from these guys. Great entertainment all the same. As they swoop around the exit of the final corner and build up the speed again, they will come screaming past the cameras. Robin Noel Brown still in the lead. It's very scenic, it's very beautiful. Christopher Radloff has now had a spin. We catch him during another one. And Marcel Breitenbach also off in the road again. Off in the wall again. This is not good for these boys, is it? There's another car spinning there. Is that Marcel? No, that's one of the... Who was that? I think that was Bruno Silva. It was. Bruno just having a spin. Ashley Brooks trying to go around him. Oh, no. Bruno is on dry tyres, in case you were wondering. Oh, and he's backed it into the wall a little bit there. This is a very interesting night of racing, isn't it? With the weather doing what it's done. Changeable conditions, I'd say, are more difficult than having one or the other. I mean, well, obviously not more than one or the other. But full wet conditions, when it's definitely wet tyres, certainly easier to predict at least than these changeable conditions. Christopher Radloff has come into the pits now. Ryan Otton's still leading the way, 3.1 seconds to the good. Jonathan Provost actually did the fastest lap of the race last time round, so he's got the ultimate pace at this moment, as well as being the Premier Class leader. We'll keep our eye on him and see what he does with this pace, though. Sorry, I'm just looking at lap times here just to try and figure out if there's any driver that's really sort of breaking through and flying faster than anybody else. Ryan Otton's just did the fastest lap. Joe Glass has now just done the fastest lap as well. And it's getting quicker and quicker. And it's interesting to see that Joe's just done that, because guess what? He's on dries. So the change is working. Robin Aston now going quick as well. What's he on? Robin Aston on dries. He's done the fastest lap in the Premier Class. So the dry tyres are coming into their own now. Dennis Coller's just gone off the road. But the dries have maybe come in a little bit too late here. Are we going to get one more lap out of this? We'll have to wait and see. But Joe Glass, yeah, certainly on the pace now on these dries. 2 minutes, 0.6 last time round. And yeah, all the drivers on dry tyres are doing their quickest laps of the race and going multiple seconds quicker than the wets. It's right at the end that this has come about. Up over the crest of the hill again though. Joe Glass seemingly a little bit tentative there. Rob Mackay in the chat. Good to see you, Rob, but a shame with the circumstances though, mate. Not an ideal night. But it's been very, very difficult, hasn't it? This one for the drivers. It's been lovely to watch though. I mean, you know, not to sound sadistic, but the drivers obviously being put through a lot more of a challenge on a night like this. And it's been great to see this sort of interesting weather condition, as Bruno Silva has just had another off and gone straight back to the pits. Ati Nagel was off on the previous lap. He has recovered. But look at this. James Bostock now under pressure from Joe Glass. And look at Joe go. He just needs to be careful of that wet bit. Ooh. Right, we're on to the final lap then. Ryan Ottens has made it one lap longer. Luke Lucchese, the first car to go under 2 minutes on a lap, but he's all the way down in 24th position outright. Oh dear. Joe Glass now does a 1:59.4. So Joe, the quickest driver on the circuit, although he's now going to be the quickest driver off it because he's on dries and that is a bit wet out there. Look, that's the risk. That's the risk on dries. Is that as soon as you get off that line, you may as well be driving on glass, not to overly use Joe's surname. but it really is like driving on sheet ice wherever you go. As soon as you're off and touch any of that moisture, the car will break away. Whereas if you're on wets on a drying circuit, you've got this sort of more consistent lack of grip everywhere, rather than having grip in some places and then having absolutely zero elsewhere. But Rob Aston doing what he can do to try and chase down the drivers in front. We need to go further up the order and look at our overall race leader, because he may have taken the lead in quite controversial circumstances. But it looks to me like we're going to have Ryan Ottens take a victory here. Around the final corner he goes, and he'll be really happy to have won that one. A lot of hard work has gone into that. Ryan Ottens takes round 12 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship in the Porsche, and Jonathan Provost in second place. 2 wins out of 2 tonight for him in really challenging conditions. Well done to him in the Premier class, and Luke King is off the road on the final lap. We wait to see Tristan Dinnebrega cross the line. He's going to finish in second position in the elite class. John Breitenbach is going to be third, and then just behind them it's James Bostock, second place in Premier. Joe Glass just behind him, crossing the line right together, not quite getting it done. But look at this in the background. Robin Noel Brown takes a win in the Evo class. Well done to him. Danny Weir is going to be second. Joe Shapara completes the podium, by the way, in Premier. Let's have a look at Danny Weir. He's already crossed the line. That's his second place of the night in the elite, in the Evo class. And Martin Kenyon. Kenyon's going to do it. He's got third place on the board. He's got his podium over James Howarth. And that was another very, very busy race, wasn't it? Flipping heck. Still got cars finishing the race though, so we'll look at them. Russell Jakes doing the fastest lap in the Premier class right at the end. Lovely cutback there by Nick Stubb. He's on dries, so too is John Ludbrook. Oh, you don't need to do it, boys. You don't need to do it. No benefit from squeezing each other. There's no point in doing it as across the line. Nick Stubb just gets it from John Ludbrook. Wow. Busy stuff there. John flashing his lights a lot at him. Not sure if that's in protest to the contact or the fact that he's just beaten him. I'm not sure. Oh well. Russell Jakes finishing the race with the fastest lap in class. Luke Lucchese doing the fastest lap of anybody, a 156.69. Goodness me, I don't think anybody else even got into what, the 157s? No, they didn't. 158.47 was the fastest lap anybody else did. Luke Lucchese going straight to the 156s. Goodness. So, let's have a look at some results, shall we? The music may cut out partway through, so please do forgive it. But there's your elite class. Ryan Ottens takes the win. Tristan Dinnebrega in second place. John Breitenbach in third. And Joe Glass in fourth. Luke King completes the top 5. Behind them was Paul Cowlishaw in sixth place. A lap down, Luke Lucchese. Christopher Radloff 3 laps down, and Nathan Crook not finishing the race. A tough night for Nathan. In the Premier class, it's Jonathan Provost taking his second win on the bounce, 22 seconds clear of James Bostock, and then Joe Shapara in third. Matthew Jones finishes in fourth with Robin Aston in fifth. Russell Jakes in sixth. Atty Nagel next up. Nick Stubb 8th. John Ludbrook 9th, and Marcel Breitenbach completing the top 10. Bruno Silva was 3 laps down. Scott Kostrick classified 8 laps down. Rob Mackay and Jack Wyborn not finishing the race either. And then we have the Evo class. Robin Noel Brown taking the win there. 7 seconds give or take ahead of Danny Weir. Martin Kenyon gets a podium as well. James Howarth finishes 4th with Joseph Preston next up. Dennis Kohler in 6th place. Ashley Brooks and Gareth Newton were 1 lap down, with Archie Craven and Graham Matthew completing the order. So we will skip it back a little bit, and we will pop it in slow-mo, and we're going to see if we can speak to some drivers. Who do we want to speak to first? I'll tell you what, we'll bring in Tristan Dinnebrega, who will join us for the first of the interviews this evening. Tristan, busy night, tricky conditions, but especially the second race more than the first one. Talk us through it.
Yeah, what an exciting night. I think the mixed conditions always throws a spanner in the works. Race 1 was good. Obviously, we managed to get the pole, which I think gave me the advantage not being in the spray, because I know the spray behind was quite hectic for the guys. Just managed to navigate that, and then starting race 2, we didn't know if it was slicks or wets. It was touch and go, and I think everyone opted to go with the wets just to play it safe, and it looks to have been the right call. We managed to just chip away at it. So there was a few very scary moments throughout the race, managed to get a P2 there, and I think with the P1, P2, it gives me the net P1 for the night, which I really needed. So super happy for myself and for the team.
Absolutely, and it's points mean prizes, so it's certainly good to see that it's gone well on a difficult night like this. What was it like in those changing conditions then, trying to make the call on what tyres to use?
Very tricky. I mean, we're fortunate enough that we in the Discord chat with myself, Ryan, Chris, Luke Lucchese, Luke King, who else? I think that's it. So between us, we're all chatting all the time, every lap. I think Chris pretty much had a bad start from race 1. So he said, look guys, I'll gamble it. I'll try the slicks early on and I'll let you know how it's going. So that was awesome of him. He went out on the slicks from I think the lap 3 or 4, and he said, look guys, it's not doable. And then so we kind of gauged from that. When we did the pit stops, Ryan and I decided, no, let's just stay on our old wets. I think there were a few in front of us, like Joe Glass, who gambled and went on the slicks, and immediately got to turn 1 and he couldn't even turn. So it looks like the old wets, just staying with him and carrying on, looked like the best call. And I mean, it was super tricky. It could have been anyone's game. It was really just a gamble.
Yeah, it certainly looked like you had to roll the dice a little bit, but it was definitely exciting, like you say, Tristan, and obviously big points for you and the team. Obviously, next time round, bit of a different kettle of fish to Mugello as we head away from Italy and stay in Italy actually. I was going to say San Marino, but it's still in Italy, isn't it? To Imola for a 1-hour race. Are you looking forward to it being dry?
Yeah, definitely. I think we did Imola last season, from our side we had strong pace there. So looking forward to go back there, see if we can get some good results for the team, carry the momentum. I think obviously Toy missing again tonight was just a pity. I think he's got school commitments and that kind of stuff again. Being in his final year of school, so it is what it is. I think it's great for Luke and I. Well, Luke didn't have such a good night tonight, unfortunately, but it definitely, I think, will be his drop round, so he's okay with that. So the championships are looking lively. Ryan also had a good night, so he's kept good points in the bag as well. So we just carry on and hope for good racing.
Well, fingers crossed, Tristan. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
Just my teammates. Appreciate all the on-track racing and the fun that we have, and then to all our sponsors, Sparko, Ravenol, Race Driver South Africa, all the guys here that support us and watch the stream, we really appreciate it. And all the guys in ESR, great community. Chaz, yourself, great stream. So we just appreciate it, and thank you so much.
Great to speak to you as always, Tristan. Thank you very much for the kind words, and we'll see you at Imola.
Oh, awesome. Cheers.
And we'll very quickly move on. And an interview that I've wanted to do for a while now, actually, is the boss man. He doesn't like being called the boss man, but we're going to call him that for the sake of this. Mr. Bostock joins us in the box. Mate, you finished second in that one after what was ridiculously hard conditions. You must feel over the moon to have pulled that one off.
Hello, Charles. Yes, I was. I'm still getting my breath back. Brilliant, mate. Absolutely. I mean, first time we've done kind of like wet to dry, and absolutely over the moon, mate. Really am. It was just the racing tonight that was so clean. Like I don't know kind of what was caught on stream, but I can only speak for what I saw, and loads of respect, loads of room left, and really, really pleased with that, mate. I didn't expect anything of the sort, and I think race 1, Danny had amazing pace as well, and I thought, well, I'm not even going to go anywhere near him because I would have thought maybe it was for a class win. So I thought I'll just stay back, and then when he finished P12, there was me, Gareth Newton, Robin Aston and Robin Noel Brown in a chat in our team Discord, and me and Gareth were just laughing our heads off, thinking, poor Danny, he's in pole position for race 2. So I was pleased that kind of, I didn't have that stress. And then, race 2, just like, I don't know what happened really, just kept up with the quick lads, and tyres started going off towards the end, and we didn't know whether to go on slicks or not. So just kept it together, let a few people by. Joe Sparrow kind of didn't defend against Joe because I know he's really quick, and I'm not nowhere near as quick as him. So let him didn't fight him, and then Joe Glass decides to jump in a few times and bully me, which was fun. But overall, mate, absolutely amazing nights racing. Probably the best nights racing I think we've had in the league so far. So absolutely over the moon with that.
Well, it was certainly exciting to watch, James, from up here as well, and obviously we look forward to the next time we have these changeable conditions as well, which I believe will be at Hockenheim later in the season, dry to wet. How are you feeling about Imola, though, next time out? It's obviously going to be dry there, which will be a lot more straightforward.
I've not been very good this season. I think because we started the TCRs, I'm not the quickest anyway, so to switch between 2 different cars, the Porsche and the TCR, I think that's kind of thrown me a little bit, and I've had some bad results, so I've not really put a lot of practice in. Imola's not a great track for me historically, but I have been very fortunate enough. The wife has let me upgrade some of my equipment, so shout out to her, so thank you for that, dear. And that's helped a little bit. New pedals have just helped me kind of feel the car a little bit, trail braking, so I've kind of rekindled my love for the Porsche tonight. So maybe I'll put a bit of practice in for next week and see if I can just tag on to the back of some of the faster guys. But again, great circuit as well, like lovely circuit, but it's just not been good to me in the past. I think that turn 1, just after turn 1, the left-right chicane.
Villeneuve chicane.
Yeah, I don't know why. I go through it thinking, don't spin, and then I just spin. So, but well, fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. Looking forward to it. Should be good.
It certainly will be, James. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
Just you guys, really. I know that kind of doing the broadcasting, I know we have an arrangement, so to speak, but I think joining Chaz Draycott Media and having such an amazing broadcast has helped propel the league to the kind of quality where we'd like to be. We don't always get there, like we all make mistakes, we're all human, we have a few fights in Discord, as you've seen, but we kind of, that's where we want to be, and I think your channel actually promotes the right kind of people for us. So just to you and Ed, and as you know, I absolutely love the puns, man. Honestly, there's just big shout out to you guys, and thanks for the fantastic job that you do for us.
It's an absolute pleasure, James. Thank you so much for the kind words, mate. Means a lot, and hopefully you'll speak to you again before the season's done. But for now, thanks very much for joining us.
Okay, mate. Have a nice evening.
Cheers.
Thanks, Chaz.
You too.
Cheers. Bye bye.
There you go, everybody. The boss man. James Bostock, what a guy. And what a guy this guy was tonight. Danny Weir, second place in the... Hang on, I'm going mental here, I can't read. Yeah, Danny Weir, second place in both races tonight in the Evo class. Danny, I spoke to you a while ago when you got your first podium, but now to get 2 in one night in these conditions as well, you must be buzzing.
Mate, it's ridiculous. Like, I don't know where that came from. I'm so happy with it.
And what do you make of this circuit usually? Because Mugello's a very tough one to have on the calendar. There's a lot of up and down undulation on a track like this. Even in the dry, it's tricky.
It is a very tricky track. And I don't know whether it was because I was on obviously wets at the end, but I think I was better in the rain. I was much better in the rain, and it's just with the rain, it's finding the wet line. It's just the complete opposite of what you think of. So around the hairpin, you're not taking the tight line, taking the wide line. And I've never been a good wet runner like in other sims. And then I just did my quali, and then I was like mid-pack. I was like, what the hell's going on here? Like, I wasn't expecting it. I did no practice. Only time I drove this track was TCR, I did no practice for it. My headset played up during TCR, my VR headset.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah, it went to black in both races. So I didn't even think I was going to finish this race. I was quite surprised that I actually got into the race and finished it. And yeah, so the whole day's been amazing. It's been a massive surprise.
Well, it's great to hear that, though, and we love the positivity of it because, you know, there's such a great community of guys behind this championship, and it's lovely to see the development, and obviously guys like yourself getting podiums as well, and, you know, reaping the benefits of these rewards. You go to Imola next time out, though. What's your history like there?
Imola's, I've done it a lot, honestly, on F1 games in the past. We've done it once here last season. Obviously, my last season was my first kind of experience in iRacing, so not sure it came out really well. Just gotta get my head down and just get the laps done. If I can repeat this again, I'll definitely do it again. But just getting the head down. The Imola's another track. If you pick the right lines, you're okay. If you make a little mistake, that gravel is gonna really drag you out.
Yeah, it's certainly an unforgiving circuit, but we look forward to seeing how you get on, Danny. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
Yeah, massive shout out to Moyland and Rob. Rob was a bit of a test dummy in the second race for putting on the dry tyres. And Matt Hoyland, although wasn't racing today because he's away, he managed to get on our Discord chat, and a pair of them were just giving me little bits of information and coaching me through it. So massive thank you to them, and a big thank you to all of the XD boys in the chat that just always messaging me saying well done and good luck and stuff. So yeah, big support from them.
Cracking stuff. It's great to hear the team element going strong. Thank you very much for joining us, Danny. Well done on your results, mate, and we'll see you at Imola.
Yeah, thank you for commentating again, mate. I can't wait to watch it back.
No worries. Thank you very much. See you soon.
See you later, mate.
There you go, Danny Weir. It's lovely to hear the positive vibes from drivers getting these strong results, isn't it? It's absolutely awesome. But a very exciting night of racing complete here in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. A big nod again to Ed May as well. He tried to troop on despite being unwell, and unfortunately had to call it quits, but hats off to him, like I say, for cracking on with it. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you once more to the championship sponsors, Kame, Medius, Keenan Eco Energy, GitGud Racing and AB Designs, and thanks to everybody involved in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship for making it the excitement that it is. As you hear though, in a week's time, on the 8th of August, we will head to Imola for an endurance race, a 1 hour race there, where, thankfully for some of the drivers, I'm sure, it's going to be nice and dry. But that's all from me this evening, Chaz Draycott, here on Chaz Draycott Media. We hope you enjoyed the show, everybody. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in a week. 4 French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The 3 wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been loved and a terrific show off. Back there, still on board with Ben Gregory now. I love it. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out GitGudRacing.com. I've coached hundreds of drivers from real-life racers to sim enthusiasts who experience rapid improvement after just one session. And while investing in top-notch hardware is great, imagine how much more you can elevate your experience by adding coaching to the mix. My methods are practical, aiming to break down complex concepts into easily digestible bits that are simple to understand. You can find reviews of the sessions I've conducted on the Fiverr link provided in the video description. Let's elevate your racing skills together. Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out the GitGud course. Instead of just understanding concepts, you'll learn how to implement them directly into your driving. What makes it effective is the approach and practical drills. Together, we're gonna focus on breaking down those complex concepts into small digestible bits that are simple to understand. Everything from the course was tested and refined during the years in coaching sessions, so what I ended up with was the ones that I saw were the most effective. Let's elevate your racing skills together.